Welcome to Stirred Up. I'm Heather.
I'm Jessica.
Welcome to our podcast where business meets happy hour and we're serving up brand insights with bar rail banter.
We're two Midwest corporate pros who love dissecting popular brands, not just for their marketing genius or business moves,
but for their corporate integrity. Together, Jess and I dig into sustainability, leadership, and how brands are actually impacting the world we live in.
All while keeping it fun, relatable, and let's be honest, fueled by some Fireball too.
Woohoo! So whether we're clinking glasses to the brands who are doing it right,
or closing the book on the one that missed the mark,
we'll bring you the real, unfiltered takes on what the brands are doing that are shaping our world and the lives we live daily.
So grab a drink, settle in, and let's get this shit stirred up.
Welcome to Stirred Up. I'm Heather.
I'm Jessica.
It's Sunday afternoon. Sunday fun day.
And Heather is just returning from the Bahamas.
And a 3-year-old birthday party at a place called The Playground, and it's indoors, as you can imagine.
It's Peyton's favorite place in the world.
I didn't get it, and I went there today. I was like, makes perfect sense if you've got kids this age.
They are raking in cash.
Okay, so I was literally thinking about that today. I know my sister-in-law, between food and reservations, spent plus or minus $500.
Oh, yeah.
And there was another birthday party going on at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Plus there's a snack bar, plus it was open to the public.
Oh, no, not on Sundays. It's not open to the public.
It was just birthday party day. So they made at least $1,000.
When it's open to the public, it's $8 or something per kid. And
$8?
Uh-huh. And that place
It looks like a fucking...
is packed to the max.
Yeah, and it basically what it is a McDonald's play pace like it used to have on Saginaw Road, Midland, like back when McDonald's had the ball pit.
Yeah.
There's no ball pit, but it's just that basic same concept. It reminds me of a hamster cage for kids.
Right, totally. It's more along the lines of Chuck E. Cheese for me. Bigger, you know?
It smells like...
You know what? Chuck E. Cheese would be a good topic to do. First of all, pizza's starting to make me feel hungry, and I fucking loved Chuck E. Cheese. Like, that was golden.
We didn't leave the farm too often unless we were going to the UP. So Chuck E. Cheese, when we went over to Saginaw and went to the Saginaw movie theaters and the Saginaw Chuck E. Cheese and the Saginaw Fashion Square Mall, like, you were going to fucking town.
Yeah.
Town.
Right, literally.
The big city.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we were, oh God, I don't know if we can have.
What's the matter with it?
Would you drink that? Because you actually know that I probably will try it. But I think it's curdling.
The fact that you're asking me makes me nervous to even smell it. Because you do eat expired things on the reg.
It's tequila rose, and it is probably ancient.
I would just go with the Crown Apple.
Okay.
That is not, no.
Don't do it.
Curdling milk is the no bueno.
Yeah, like I don't need to throw up today.
No, not when Clay's living his best.
Yeah, Clay's in a happy place this weekend. We were doing well. So I got my facial. Alicia at Blush Beauty Spa, shout out. Really enjoyed the whole process. It was my very first facial. Got a dermaplane. Is that what that's called?
Don't do that again.
Scrape. Don't do it.
I'll do it for you.
Loved it.
I'll do it for you.
Although I will say, she texted me after, so she was surprised that I was, like, my face was really red when I was done.
Well, she doesn't know you, though.
Yeah, but I was blotchy red and, like, a little bit of irritation around my chin, and I can definitely still feel, like, I'll show you later, but it's, like, definitely still feeling, like, a little funky. I think I do have sensitive skin without really realizing it.
You do.
I don't really...
If my skin got half as red, and like first of all, you have beautiful skin. So if people see you up close, you actually have gorgeous skin. You do. But if you get irritated, look at something wrong, the grass sniffs you, you drink something funny, you get fucking red.
And I do feel like I just tolerate it without really thinking about it.
I would literally be up in the covenant.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like solve it at all. Like I just live with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she
have sensitive skin.
Yeah, she texted me the next day, but I don't even know what to avoid. So she texted me the next day and was like, you were a little red yesterday. How are you doing today? So I sent her a picture, and I think I was still a little bit red, but not nearly as bad. I said, it feels great. I'm doing great. But I will say, it's just a learning process on my skin. I feel like a little flaky on the bottom. I don't know what's happening. So I'm not wearing any makeup today. Oh my God, Anna, I'll
what
tell
kind
you
of
this.
facial did you get? A hydrofacial? Did you get a...
I just a dermaplane. I don't know. She put like a million different products on my face. Loads of layers of stuff and steam.
You have no idea what she put on there?
I have no idea. Absolutely not.
Zero.
None. I've not even thought about it. And she did ask me, as I told her this was my first facial, blah, blah, blah. I'm laying down. She's like, applying stuff. And she says, so what's your skincare routine? Which is always such a funny question because that implies that there is one. But I said, oh, you're going to die. And she goes, oh, no, there's no judgment here. And I said, I use the same moisturizer for my feet as I do my face. And if she had water in her mouth, it would have been sprayed all over me.
Die.
And I said, see, I told you. And she said, no. I didn't mean to react.
You're like, but you did. And I warned you.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And I truly don't care.
You're like the guy who uses the same shampoo for his nuts and his head and his armpits and his face. Like you just use the same soap in the shower for every part.
I have really nice hair shampoo.
Mm-hmm. I've used it. I like it.
Yeah, and I like that quite a lot. But like I can resonate to, like, if I was a dude, I would just use the same top to bottom.
Did you read the tariff article I sent you today?
I did.
What did you think?
So it was written prior to the latest round of reciprocal tariffs. And I was just about to go running. I was waiting for Ricky to come out of her house, stretching. So I didn't get a chance to see if the same author, who is clearly very intelligent and somebody that, like, within reading the article, I was like, oh, I want to read more of what I thought that was a very good perspective. It wasn't new information for me. That was already what I had understood about the whole deal.
No surprise.
But I'm very curious because he wrote it reacting to just simply tariffs on Canada and Mexico, which are like important, but a sliver of what was announced recently. So I don't know. I debated my dad on tariffs again too. I was like,
okay. So we didn't actually get to that. So how is he? What's going on?
So
you dated your dad on tariffs?
I don't bring any of this stuff up. He brings it up.
They did that. Mm-hmm.
So he was, so for anybody who's missed it, he is recovering from a hip replacement, like
Jessica's
the
dad,
one side.
meaning Pat Owens.
My dad.
P.O.
So I went over there to make, he likes tuna casserole. So I went over there to make him lunch.
That's such a Midwest dish.
Tuna
casserole, the easiest shit ever too. You're like, okay, Dad.
Yeah, and he was going to make it himself, but I thought, like, I actually was hoping Peyton would come and help me and we'd just hang out for like a couple of hours. But she didn't, so that was fine too. And I was just wanting to make sure that if I sat down with him and could, like, is he swelling? Is that really serious? Are we, whatever, make a plan for the follow-up doctor's appointment? Just a chit-chat. So it wasn't a big deal. It was more just to spend some time there and see if he needed my help on laundry or whatever. Empty the dishwasher. I put too many peas in it. It's a little dry. There's 6,000 6,000 milligrams.
I'd shove that fucking chicken noodle up his ass.
As I'm leaving, he goes, I think I'll make some spaghetti. He's giving me a hard time. Like, he's doing it to be a little bitch. Yeah. But I was like, whatever. So I'm telling Matt all of this. And while I'm sitting with my dad via text message, I told Matt how my dad was complaining about it. And I was telling my dad that I was telling Matt that my dad is complaining. And Matt sends back, yeah, he probably feels so bad for me and the kids. This is what we deal with every single day. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Listen. You are not going to convince me or this audience of anything different or your family when you go, I think this is curdled. Should I drink it? I'm like, do you want to shit your pants for 3 days?
Right. I know. So we're sitting there and my dad he watches endless Fox News, which is fine, but I think you should diversify your media sources.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion. And it's like, I don't think these tariffs things are going to be a big deal. And I said, well, if the average family is going to have $5,000 added expense to their house because this is the largest tax on Americans themselves in American history, then no, maybe that's not a big deal. It's fine. And he's just explaining how it, like, just doesn't affect him. Okay.
That's my fave.
And most of his retirement is in cash, the sale of the store, that kind of thing. It's not, he hasn't checked. So I guess like this is just what he's said. I don't know. I said, well, guess how much I lost in one day, Dad? And he said, you should have done something different about that. You should have been ready. Like move all of our investments or something. I was like, oh my God, you're lucky. I love you.
My favorite is now that we're all, well, you're not 40, but I am, but I'm having an epiphany right now. I need to pause. Bennett says that we always need to have an answer for something. And sometimes he wants to talk. And I just literally want to say to you, all parents just want to have a fucking answer for something.
How funny.
And I'm like,
That's true, because your job as a parent is to be a problem solver, but he's transitioning into the phase of
I actually don't think it is.
Yeah, but it has been our job for a young age, and I think you're transitioning out of being the solution to everything.
Right. Yes, and that is because if I'm doing a good job, I'm teaching them the tools to solve their own problems.
Totally. Right, but that's hard.
They go from sucking the tit
to moving out like all in one day.
Don't get me started. I can barely. The other night I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, did I hug him enough? Did I read to him enough?
Clay is asking me to read to him lately, and I really don't want to, as much as I read myself. Like, the little blue tractor can just
I love
park it. I mean, I'm out.
I love it. The little blue tractor can park it. We're like, we're going to read Bloomberg. And we're going to either do that or we're reading smut.
Yeah.
Dragon porn or Bloomberg.
I'm in.
And we'll mix in some housewives.
Yeah, in between.
Some true crime.
You just really wrapped up my whole life.
I'm telling you, I know what you watch. Okay, so Peyton, I taught Peyton how to use matches today. She's 4.
Yeah, as I'm walking into the studio, here's Heather and Peyton swiping matches off the fancy fucking new matchbooks, people.
Oh yeah, we got new matches and we got chapstick. If you want some new merch, if you're a new listener, DM us, comment. We'll send you some merch. We're also going to head to the.
Let's make them work for it. If you don't DM us, because that's private, and you need to earn your keep around here. Not you, Heather, but like listener. If you want some merch, you can be like Alicia, who posts.
We wanted to start a community. Hey, listener, if you want some fucking merch, you got to comment.
Yeah, you have make a little post about what your favorite part of the episode is.
That's true.
Or like what your favorite merch option that we've had, or request merch, because we're going to be always making merch. So
we love merch.
Yeah, give us a shout out. Come to our page and post on it. Comment on existing content. Write your own posts like awesome Alicia does. Loyal listener who is cleaning and listening to Stirred Up. Wow.
Amy, shout out to Ames. Amy Black. I'm calling her Amy Black. I don't give a shit. Okay. Shout out to Amy Black.
Yeah.
She started to listen and clean yesterday. And she says that we're hilarious.
I thought it was Alicia.
Amy Black. Alicia Liskey.
Yeah. Wasn't she? Didn't she post?
She cleaned too.
Yeah.
But Amy Black's a new listener.
Oh, okay. Okay. But wasn't it Alicia who posted?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
Yeah. But Amy.
Get that wrong.
So Alicia posted. Yeah. Amy texted yesterday.
Right on.
Kate also called and said she thinks Stanley's heavy, but she's going to carry it. And I said, bitch, you give that thing to the Goodwill and we cost $88, ship it back, or give it to somebody that wants it. She said she'd carry it for us.
Fair enough, but like also, what is that called when you pass it along and you like pay it forward? Pay it forward.
Gifting.
Well, I mean,
what do you call that when you wrap up shit people gave you?
Regifting. But it doesn't have to be like a gift. Like you can just hand it off to someone else that thinks they like it.
But she's a loyalist, so she doesn't like the cup. Give the cup to somebody who you're trying to convert.
Totally agree.
She's the smartest sales lady I know.
And
she'll figure out what to do with that cup.
Some people do love those Stanleys. Like find your Stanley loyalist and add to their collection. That's what we got. That's what we need. Find somebody who loves them. So yeah.
Well, we're plugging the sponsorships real quick because now we're those cheesy, gross sponsorship pluggy people. Shout out to everyone who ordered from our Comfort link. What is our Comfort link? And it's so fun. It says Heather sent you a link with like party emoji. What do you call that?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's a party emoji. Yeah. Comfort.com/stirreduppod. Comfort.com/stirreduppod. Get 15% off. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's loving it. I'm also getting some messages from people who are about to order, a couple who just got their orders and what they're shopping for, what they like. They're asking. I've bought a couple of different things. It's not just sweatshirts. They have the most comfortable t-shirts. I bought they call it a waffle lounge, but it's like a Henley. I would say, honestly, a little redneck. It's like long underwear.
we call them boys long underwear,
and I love it.
Dem some long underwear.
I would check out everything that they have to offer. Good price, and they have select colors in certain sizes that they have on sale, and you get an additional 15% off even the sale price if you use the link if you use the link comfort.com/stirreduppod.
Comfort.com/stirreduppod. Also, we've been getting lots of different inquiries, whether it be text messages or whatever, about brand partnerships, brand sponsorships, co-promotions. You can DM us on that. Facebook is the best. Also, we have a contact us form on our website as well.
That's right.
A couple things. Went to a water park. Shout out to Atlantis. Shout out to the Bahamas. Shout out to all of the Bohemian people and our neighbors in the Bahamas and all the people on spring break. It was a fucking riot.
Cool.
Last day, we decided on a whim to take a taxi over to Atlantis. So we spent the day at Atlantis.
You didn't do any dolphin swimming?
No, but I did do a water slide, and we'll put the clip on social. My kids told me it was an easy one, and I got in there, and in the first 15 seconds, it gave me on a 200-foot drop in the dark.
Oh, my God.
Where I swallowed my vagina lips. It was so scary.
Did you think you were dying?
I didn't know.
Are you dying right now?
It was bad.
It was bad.
And then when it's finally at the end of it, you kind of, and then you splash into this big tub, and they have me on video, and all you hear is, and then at the end, I come out, and I'm finally laughing because I realized I didn't die, and I was like, you fuckers. But here's what I want to say to men.
Okay.
I have a lot to say to men. If you're a man and you're missing a toe because you went to war,
okay,
or it got cut off on the assembly line, or you had a bad bout of gangrene from an extreme
gout, and then
if you had an extreme bout of gout because you were doing something historic, patriotic, fine. But if you're rolling around Atlantis with your dogs out,
like your bad toes,
and you've got fucking toenails that are 2 inches thick and yellow, and they remind you of that commercial where they're getting the plaque off people's teeth under their toes.
So this is what I mean.
Ooh, girl,
this is what I mean. Where I started to go, this is why I needed a facial. I can't let it get bad.
Oh, that's Jessica. You did not have a fungus on your face. You might have had a dry skin. You might have had maybe a wrinkle.
But,
maybe you had
dude, they add up. And you don't know until it's too late.
That boy's toenails look like he had two 2x4s for toenails.
Oh shit!
And we're standing in the line, and I can see my Reevy in the corner, kind of getting a little twitch. And I go, "Hey," he goes, "Bro needs to do something with them dogs." And I said, "Yep." And about 4 minutes later, I see Liv and Sylv in the corner. They're 12.
They're losing it.
Losing it. And then I look at Bennett, and he goes, "Saw it 20 minutes ago. Everyone's behind." So all I'm saying to men is, or any human, right? I have really close women friends who have 4 toes. I'm not fucking kidding you. But the 4 that are living, they're painted.
They're glamorous.
They're at least polished up.
They're representing their missing partner.
Talking back.
Yeah.
They're not infecting the water slide in the Bahamas.
Fair enough.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I hadn't really thought about that variable.
I cannot. So I hate water parks. I'm a huge hater of indoor water parks, the biggest hater of water parks ever. Outdoor ones are a little less grotesque, but generally fucking gross.
Yeah.
So men, go get a pedicure. Put a little cream on them dogs.
You know what? That is the PSA. We need to make sure that
scrub them up.
Men need to feel comfortable.
You know what's sexy? You know what's sexy? Send me a picture of your pretty toes. If I was single. No, don't do that.
Okay, we'll cut that.
It's better than a dick pic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, better than a dick pic.
Your clean feet.
Yeah.
I would like to make it, I want to start a movement.
I agree.
Socially acceptable for men to keep their dogs.
So this isn't...
And their fingernails clean. I
agree.
If you work with your hands, that's fine.
But like, then you have to work harder to keep them clean.
You cannot have fingernails that are completely black.
This is a two-way street, though. So this is not just a call to action to men.
My dogs are clean. I'm
telling you right now, I'm not talking about that, Heather. We need to make these men feel comfortable and
That's what I mean. Normalize it.
In the salon,
I'm telling you what.
You know what we should do?
Kevin Costner showed up to the nail salon and said, clean up these dogs.
Yeah, he'd be hotter than ever.
I know Denzel gets his manicured.
We need to have, like, I think barbers should actually, they've got like such a cool vibe. Like, why don't they add manly?
You literally have a fucking idea. Quiet.
It is a good idea.
Fingernails totes for men.
I don't want to do it.
I would. I wouldn't do it. I'm absolutely not touching their fucking feet, but I would invest in that. I would absolutely back that.
I don't really have anything to invest. I just lost it all in tariffs.
Yeah, we're all broke. We lost every fucking penny we had in 2 days last week.
Pretty damn close.
We didn't, but
it's anyway, a lot. It's a lot.
Put your dogs away.
Put your dogs away.
If your dogs are looking like that, put some of them water squeegee shoes on that you wear up in the lake, that you wear to the ocean bed. If your dogs are barking, put some water shoes on for the rest of the community.
Amen.
It's fucking rude.
Amen.
It's rude.
And like, let's start getting these boys manicured.
Let's get these boys manicured.
And pettied.
And even, I actually might, you know what we should do? Send Maddie and Mike for patties and Maddie's for Father's Day. Let them go golf and drink beer, and then send them to the club for patties and Maddie's and patties. And the steam.
Oh my gosh.
And have Bennett.
This is the thing. What we really need to do is I need to record Matt. Like, what would make him be willing to do that?
BJ's.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Okay.
23 seconds worth of work.
Fair enough. And we get petted feet.
When he's rubbing your legs in the middle of a cold night.
Stop.
Don't let them dogs bark, boys. Clean them up. Telling you what. You brush your teeth. You have clean fingernails. You wash.
Add it to the hygiene routine.
When I get a divorce from Mike Smith, you might be okay. So here's the funny part about me and Mike Smith getting a divorce. This is the funniest story I think I ever have. So as you know, I have several people in my life, so it won't narrow it down, that are in the midst of different situations in their lives with their partners.
Sure.
Mike Smith and I are stable to happy, depending on the day. When I post on Facebook, I don't actually think anybody pays attention to me, especially if I'm not the poster and I'm just commenting. Like if I'm in the comments, it's just I'm in the comments. Like I'm trying to like learn, read, use it as a Google search. So I don't have any personal brand awareness to my posting when I'm in the comments of TikTok, right? Sure. So on Ask Midland the other day, and several of my friends are in divorce or getting ready for divorce situations, and I've been using my market research to figure out how to best help them and, what we need to do. And so somebody the other day put on Ask Midland that they're on their second or third divorce and they were looking for a really good divorce attorney out of the area or out of Michigan, or I'll find it and screenshot it. I didn't think twice about it. Once I posted, I never thought again. And all I posted was following. On Ask Midland, and never thought anything about it ever again. Didn't ever think about it till today.
Who else saw that?
So my neighbor Kelly this morning, Olive, her doggy came over to see us. She like literally ran out of the yard to see us, and Kelly goes, Olive. I go, is that you? She goes, yeah. So she came over and she was like, oh my God, Scott and I were dying. We were on the internet and we were in Florida and we saw Heather Smith was following, and she's like one of 4 people who actually know what's going on in my life, right? Yeah. Like, so she had context. So I go to my niece's birthday party tonight at the playground, and I said I went to tell Tay what I did. She goes, oh no, Em and I already saw it. We were on the phone. Em texted me and said to me, is there something I don't know? They didn't even tell my mother-in-law because they weren't sure.
They had to suss it out first.
Had to suss it out.
Oh my God.
So anyways, if you go to Ask Midland.
That's good to know that.
Okay, I'm not just going to get my mother-in-law worked up for no reason.
Right. Amen.
So then Mike goes, family, everyone gather. Heath and I got something to say. We decided on vacation. We're calling it quits. Everyone ignored us.
Everyone ignored us.
So if you've been following, that's all I put. And then I texted my people and I was like, hey, I'm on this really good thread.
I thought you were at least going to be helpful. Like, oh, here's the person that we use.
See. No.
We being like my friend.
I want to know what I'm following. I want to see what all the comments say. I want to see all the names. And
they have a save button that you can discreetly just save it into like a folder. Oh, shit.
It literally made me sweat. Like, literally. Yeah, following. So if you're on Ask Midland, if you see the person looking for a divorce attorney, I am following. So if you've got good information, put it out there.
And those are the places to get into, the comments of Ask Midland.
That's what I'm saying.
I belong in Overheard in Traverse City as well, which is like really fucking wild.
Is it?
Yeah. They've got a whole like homeless.
What's it called? Overheard?
Overheard in Traverse City. They've got a little bit of a drug problem, a whole homeless situation who people are like sleeping out in the woods. In the summertime, they get visitors who don't know how to moor their boats, so then boats get beached because it's in the Grand Traverse Bay and all the wind gets really crazy. So you'll see these big ass, fancy ass boats beached and flooded. Like they're done. And it's so fun. Like to be a viewer of someone's bad decision. Juicy. Okay. The thing that is keeping me up at night in the reign of Donald Trump in America is the effects of the things he's cutting that matter to me and they don't matter to him. So we're going to feel the effects of tariffs. Okay. That's a problem, but like he's going to know that it hurts and like I don't know, maybe something will happen, whatever. The things that he and Doge are doing, they're cutting all of these programs, and parts of the programs that have been cut are environmental protection for things like the Great Lakes. There have been people who have just lost their jobs. There have simply like budgets have been cut, whatever. There's a documentary that I highly recommend for anybody in Michigan. It's on Amazon Prime. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's something along the lines, like the title is something, and it sounds really weird, and it's a black and white picture. I can't believe I selected it to watch, but I was going to have it on as background noise while we were like getting kids acclimated for bed. Like kids were still awake, so we needed something that wasn't like death and murder and Reacher, which is what I really like, but something like friendly and I thought perhaps possibly informative. And I actually almost apologized to Matt for turning it on, and then we ended up sitting there for an hour and a half watching the whole thing, and I've thought about it 100 million times since we watched it. Like we've recommended it to so many people. The title was something along the lines of like the thing that almost killed the Great Lakes or something, like something really dramatic. I'm not going to spoil the whole story and talk about the documentary because you just should watch it, but it is about sea lamprey. I thought it was going to be about Asian carps, but it was about sea lamprey. And we live on a river. I'm not going to name the river. We live on a river here that I've had people come to our door, knock on the door and say, hey, we're treating for sea lamprey. Can we come access your property to put this in the water? And I didn't at the time know what that was, so they gave me a whole education about that. It looks like Mountain Dew going into the river just for like a few minutes or an hour or whatever. And
because the sea lamprey, if you look them up, they look like prehistoric. They look like the sloths on Little Mermaid. Black water snakes.
Yes.
I've seen one.
With 1,000 teeth.
Yeah.
They latch onto fish, suck the blood out of the fish. The whitefish population went from in the millions to into the 100,000s in a single year because of sea lamprey. And we didn't know how to kill just sea lamprey, but not kill everything else. The whole documentary is so insanely informative. The reason the sea lampreys come in is because there's a canal, a man-made canal that connects Canada, waterways into Canada around Niagara Falls, like so that they can get through that that way, but obviously Niagara Falls is a big problem. My greatest thing that's keeping me up at night is that we're cutting the staff and we're cutting the budget to the organizations that protect us from sea lamprey. And I can't I've heard people say that it's a problem, that some of the cuts are affecting the resources, but I haven't heard if they're making the choice then to still focus on sea lamprey and give up another choice that they've had to make. It's a thing that we all need to be in Michigan, and I know so many of our listeners live in Michigan, we need to care about, and we need to ask our Congress people. We can't just not know this, because it'll be a huge problem for fishing, for everything.
You can't swim if you saw one in the water. I saw one time, and actually in the Chippewa River, I saw one. It was. I
believe it.
So can I tell you, I've not tubed down a river without 40 people since. I won't. And I can probably stand on my big toe on a tube. Because I've had suckers on me before.
Oh, yeah. Leeches.
Suckers. Question for you. So if they're coming from Canada, why is Canada not killing the sea lion prey?
So they have their own treatment because they have a little bit of a problem too in some of their riverways. But the way that
haven't we killed enough of them off yet? Are they still a big problem up there?
Unless we've killed them every year. But unless they close that canal, they're just going to keep coming. They live in the ocean. So the canal is the problem again. I'm like, does commercialization matter? Maybe that doesn't matter.
We don't care anymore.
But that's a problem. So they're just coming into here. So it's really not a Canada problem, although Canada is putting resources against it.
Why is the canal there?
For American trade, to get big boats from different places, Europe, into New York, Buffalo, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, certainly into Canadian borders too. So Canada's putting money into it to help protect the sea lamprey. There's an organization.
Not protect.
Against, kill. So anyways.
On that fucking depressing fucking note.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Jesus, fuck.
Sorry about that. The sea lamprey.
They're freaky. They'll carry your babies away. Hide your kids.
The sea lamprey?
100%.
No, they won't.
They will.
No, they're really gross. I don't think they've ever been even seen on a human. I don't think it's a human
problem. I have absolutely seen a sea lamprey.
Attached to a human?
Following a human down a tube.
Ew.
On a river.
Okay, are you ready to talk about the business of weed? We're back for the real tea.
Weed, marijuana, ganja.
I can't spell marijuana.
Grass.
So all of my research, I had to type cannabis or weed.
Cannabis. Marijuana.
And my notes have a lot of Mary J's.
Mary Jane. Mary J.
Who are your favorite celebrities known to smoke?
I love this question. Get your fucking pen out.
Snoop.
Snoop.
We like the Snoop.
Chappelle. I like everybody generally that smokes pot. As long as you're still working. As long as you're buying your own. If you're buying pot and you have a bridge card and you don't have a medical condition, I got a problem with you.
Okay, so we got Snoop. We've got
Dave Chappelle.
Willie Nelson.
Big fan.
Willie and Snoop went to Amsterdam and got so fucking stoned, they said. They got so stoned together.
Willie and Snoop?
Yeah. In Amsterdam, I heard. Oh, Seth Rogen. King. He is so funny and he's always stoned. And I love the way he talks and laughs. He's such a raspy stoner voice.
My favorite's probably Chappelle.
And he's known to be a stoner?
Yeah, but also super fucking smart.
Wiz Khalifa. That's the thing. I actually think that
everyone smokes pot.
Well, yeah.
And if you don't, you're taking a gummy. And if you don't take a gummy, you're missing out on life. I don't know what to say to you. I really don't know what to say.
So there are more
If you're taking a white pill that the doctor prescribes you versus growing a pot plant, I don't know.
There are more Americans that report daily cannabis consumption now than there are who report daily alcohol consumption.
I think that makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep. Okay. So how many states have legalized marijuana, do you know?
No, but more than half.
24. So not quite more than half.
Okay.
24 states. As of April 2025, 24 states in Washington, D.C. has legalized recreational marijuana use. So maybe there are more that have legalized.
Since what?
Medical marijuana as of today. Like as of current research.
Data.
Yeah.
Live.
What we know. There are 15,000 cannabis dispensaries across the United States. The style of business, so we're going to talk really broadly about the business. The style of business ranges really drastically from like independent growers to what they call multi-state operators.
So more national operations.
Here's what's interesting about weed, because it's a state by state decision, but it's still illegal at a federal level.
Correct. Yeah.
So the markets are all true state markets where we have like a national market or a global market elsewhere. You cannot, as a consumer or a grower dispensary, you cannot cross state lines with marijuana. If and when you do, even if you're going from California to Oregon, do they touch? Whatever. Like if you're driving to and from two legal states, crossing state lines is a federal offense with marijuana.
So if I have Michigan weed,
yep,
and I happen to be adjoined to California,
yeah, or like
I'm at the Michigan-California border. Let's pretend.
I think it's.
I gotta throw my Michigan weed out the window in Michigan and buy new weed in California because I can't cross the Michigan weed border with Michigan weed.
Or just don't bring it altogether.
No, I don't think you understand the question. I'm not,
yeah,
now that you don't understand it, I'm not articulating it well. So it's illegal in Ohio, legal in Michigan. If I cross the Ohio border with weed, it's illegal.
Correct.
But in California, it's also legal by state.
Correct.
If I'm going from Michigan to California and I happen to be able to get there through one state, one border, we're attached, do I have to throw out my Michigan weed and buy California weed?
Yes.
I cannot take my Michigan weed to California.
Not legally. It's a federal offense.
Oy.
All of these markets are all state-by-state markets. The big growers are almost all vertically integrated from the matter that I can see, where they...
What does vertically integrated mean?
They grow the product, and then there are the retailers. Not everybody does it that way. There's not a lot of data to suggest exactly like how the market operates.
Your production facility, and you're distributing it to...
Some people like to specialize in growing, but don't really want to meet their customer. You know, you don't want to be involved in the retail store. We don't know. It's really impossible. I thought because these are all registered too that we'd have better data. But here's the thing: because it's state by state, there's no federal thread data pulling it all together. Yeah, well, and every registry is different. So you register with Michigan. So any of the good research that is available, they don't even have the resources to go ask and check all 24 states. They're just looking at the best, whatever they can. There are 15,000 cannabis dispensaries. Some states, and I think that this is like a maturity of the state and their recency of legalization. Some states have about half or more than half are these multi-state operators. The largest is a vertically integrated. They have 15 of their own centers. They're all like 25,000 square foot
grow houses, production facilities, like greenhouses, like you're literally automated. Growing potatoes.
They have multiple different extraction techniques based on what they're trying to do with the marijuana. Like all of it is highly sophisticated systems to extract what they need out of the plant.
People or machinery or both?
Most of them are automated. So I'm sure there's people that tend to things that can't be automated, but the majority of it's automated. And then they'll have hundreds of different locations across multiple different states where they are retail locations.
The Loom in Michigan. Michigan has they have so many funny titles too. Can I tell you?
Yeah, give me a couple.
The Loom, Dank, House of Dank, DANK, because dank is like stinky dank. Stinky weed. Back in the day, they used to call it stinky weed 20 years ago. More than that, I'm old, I'm 40.
What state do you think has the most sales in cannabis, recreational cannabis?
Either New York or Colorado.
California.
Oh, that makes sense.
And guess what number 2 is?
Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michigan.
So California.
We're cold here.
California maintains its position as largest cannabis market in the U.S. with approximately $4.7 billion in sales in 2024.
$4.7 billion.
Michigan followed closely at $3.27 billion. It's only a 10% increase from the previous year. Recreational weed became legal in December of 2019. Since then, the state's cumulative sales have surpassed $10 billion. The tax income, I guess I don't know off the top of my head, but the tax income, and I think it's $1 billion a year tax income comes in to the state of Michigan or any state that they're in. For most states, it ends up going towards education. Some of them have it budgeted in the same line item as the lotto. Like it's just kind of goes in that same
Do you live
thing.
in the lotto? Do you think our lotto actually goes to our education system?
I don't have any reason to believe that it doesn't. I try not to be a conspiracy theorist. I like to go with evidence. So that's what it's intended to do.
What makes you gather evidence? A good case.
I haven't looked into it. So anyways.
I'm the case.
About $1 billion goes.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's great. If we're talking about like the...
This is what I'm saying. Okay, so here, prove me wrong. So I'm like, oh, I like you if you're a pothead and you buy your own weed. But if you're a bridge card, I don't really like you. It's not true. That's a bullshit thing to say. First of all, weed is cheaper than fucking ever. It's a fucking commodity. It's cheaper than shit. When I was in high school, I mean, yeah. You had to sell something, work 2 fucking weeks, hustle your neighbor, snap your fingers, look at Jesus, and maybe you got a hit.
And I don't know why. Like, it's not hard to grow, but we would get...
That was my point. I'm judging people. Here's my point also, though. Can I just rewind?
Yeah.
If you're on a bridge card and you're buying pot, but the 10% taxation is truly going to a line item that's coded to education,
yeah,
I don't give a fuck. Good for you. Way to cheat that system.
So prior to the...
Because if you actually think that the millionaires are paying for their Coke, they're not.
Right. Yeah. The prior to the legalization of recreational use, it was always like a line item for medical marijuana. That was how, not always, but that's been in recent years, I guess. It was first like the first legalization was for medical use, and then it was afforded as recreational. Yeah. At the height, Michigan's medical market accounted for almost $500 million in sales, and then it fell by 96% in the following 3 years. So does that tell you that they were all basically, like everyone ends up just buying it as like, why bother with medical marijuana when you just like go to the corner store and buy it?
That's how I feel about Tylenol. Why would I go to the doctor to get Tylenol or cough syrup when I can go get it at fucking Walgreens?
That's fair. When I was reading it, I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't really used necessarily for medical use.
You don't have to go to the doctor to get a prescription every time you have a headache. Why would you do that for muscle aches, bone aches?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm looking for my notes on it, but I also did do a little bit of research. Oh, here it is. So I thought medical marijuana was like somehow prescribed. And then I was like, it's not like you're going to CVS pharmacy to get your weed, right? So it was prescribed.
Do they have it at real pharmacies?
No. So the way that it had worked was you get a medical marijuana prescription.
Why does CVS not carry pot or buy all the pot stores? Why is that not part of the...
I can't speak on behalf of CVS on that, but my guess would be that like a pharmacy, an independent pharmacy could certainly do that, but it's not a prescribed medication. It's a recommendation, and then you could use that recommendation to take it to places with licenses who, it's still a systematic thing, but it's systematic outside of... I wouldn't be surprised if there was... big pharmacy entered it. But so far, the evidence hasn't suggested it's the right path. Pharmacies don't make enough money on something like weed. Okay, so here's the other problem. It's an extremely volatile market. So a couple of the big brands, a handful of them are all publicly traded. Guess what their stock prices are? The highest stock price is $5 a share.
Well, hold on. I have a really ignorant question for a kid who grew up on the farm. Like, I know that meat has a market price. Like, if you take your pig to So I guess my point is,
what's the market price? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's where I was going when I talked about medical marijuana, and then I got
it's like grown in fucking dandelion, and if you can do a little bit of science and have a light bulb, you can make dank.
So it's a volatile market. It's the lowest price that it has been in years because the supply is just way overshot. Yeah, like there's way too many people selling weed than there is demand. I did obviously suggest that like more Americans are consuming weed on a daily basis than there are alcohol, but the categories that have been targeted for now are a little bit tapped out. There's too many providers and not enough consumers. So when medical marijuana was at its peak, the price per ounce was $419. This was in 2020 in Michigan, because all of these are like, remember, discrete markets. So I did my most research in Michigan because that's where we are. At the height, it was $419 an ounce. That was medical marijuana, and that was in 2020. So that was right after it become legal, but it hadn't been a saturated market for recreational use. Pick what you think the price per ounce for the flower is today.
Oh, they call it flower too. Yeah, they call it flower now.
I know. I feel like I'm in the know.
Less than $100, maybe 150, maybe 80,
$70 an ounce. Yeah, you're good, honey.
And an ounce can fill up like an ounce is like an ounce.
A bag.
It's like a
Ziploc bag, like a sandwich bag,
at least. Yeah.
Yeah. In 2023, it was $92 an ounce. It's now down to below $70. It's just below $70 an ounce in Michigan. This is suggesting that the market is stabilizing. So the growth rate was like crazy growth rates year over year, and now is around 10%. So it's still growing, but it's slowing. So this is suggesting that like, wow, it was really big. Now everything is kind of pulling back. And I think the message is don't go into the business of weed. Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, starting a weed shop is probably not it, because there's already too many people out there. What is also going on in Oregon, they have
Look at what you said to me earlier about like, okay, but why aren't there more just like straight up weed bake shops and shit? Weed drink shop, weed smoothie shops, weed like why couldn't you and I, when we opened our greenhouse, why couldn't I have a little thing in the corner where like we were taking the product and actually making it consumable beyond smoking it or eating it?
So I did start to explore what if you were to grow, how would you grow within the weed industry today? I started to challenge to think about
science. Like I would think like non-organic and inorganic and organic science. How do you add weed to?
Well, here's a couple of things. What the industry has done is really just tapped into an existing market who was buying weed illegally or as medical marijuana, and then made it easy for them to access as recreational use. The opportunities for growth are tapping into markets that might not have been considering weed as a solution, but might be a viable option. So there's a whole category of health. The other big one that is trendy in a couple of different sources is the fact that targeting women and making women feel like they are safe in a dispensary. So some of like even the visual and experience of like going into a weed store, the way that it was depicted online was like, this is very much a men's experience. There are a handful of female owner weed dispensaries who are making it feel like you're going into a spa when you walk into a weed store.
The Loom in Michigan. If you've ever been to the Loom in Michigan, I've been into a Loom before. Because I looked into the brand, and it'd be actually an interesting brand to look into to see but when you go in there, it almost feels like,
the last weed store I went into, I was in like a holding area, and it was like, it felt a little bit like jail. And I was like, shit, am I locked in here? I can't go into that place without somebody guiding me in here, but I don't know if I can leave. Like it felt really weird. It felt really fucking weird.
Really?
Yeah. Like they could have put a TV in the holding space.
The holding?
Yeah.
Like the lobby, like when you get called into the dentist?
There were too many people shopping in where they kept the weed.
Sure.
So then, and I don't know if that's like a legal thing or just
legal.
Their own.
You can only have so many. No, you only have so many people back. So many people selling, so many people buying.
Yeah. So I had to like ring a buzzer or something. I don't know. And then I was in this. It was like a lobby, but it felt there was no windows. There was no TVs. Like everything felt vaulted and fucking weird. They're not open. It was in Traverse City. It was a couple
when you were
years
high
ago.
when you went there?
No, but they're not open now. I walked back past there when we were there recently, and it wasn't open.
It should feel more like a lobby, like a better experience than going to the dentist with Clay and Peyton on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't better.
No. Then why would you go to begin with? You know what I mean? Like, not you, but I agree. That's why that makes it shut down.
Maybe is a sign that why they're not open.
Yeah.
But part of the opportunity for growth in weed, because the market is so saturated and most of the people who were going to shop for weed are already buying. So your growth opportunity is in expanding your market. And the target right now, consistently across multiple states, is in making the weed experience, not just the experience, but the messaging for women, like what health benefits or things that it will do for you.
Does it have health benefits? What have you found out? The brain, the health? Because, I mean, you've done a little bit of things.
I did. I didn't spend a lot of time on it because there's the short answer is
how do you buy it like Tylenol if it's actually killing us?
There's suggestions both ways. Like at this point, I think it's like at your own risk because
like alcohol.
Absolutely. Yes. If you find that you enjoy it, do it in moderation. There's not enough evidence from a research perspective to suggest that it is safe, let alone beneficial. That certainly can make people more comfortable when they're, like the whole medical marijuana space. It certainly will make you more comfortable, have some benefits if you are already suffering in that kind of capacity. But it's, in some cases, people are like promising these big, like, oh my God, it will cure my arthritis or like something crazy like that. There's not enough
management, like Tylenol versus a cure is how you sort of see it.
I don't really have a point of view, but maybe, yeah, like in that realm. Yeah.
If you take a Tylenol, you're curing a temporary headache. You're not curing the reason you have chronic headaches.
It would be more aligned to that. I think comparing it to how you use alcohol is the same way. Like I obviously have my fair share of alcohol consumption. Am I drinking it as a health benefit? No. But does it feel like it helps me, makes me happy? Yeah, sure, of course. So,
but do you know, like, that's what I guess, do we need a part two? Like, what is the science behind weed versus alcohol?
No, we don't need a part two. Like, the industry needs to mature itself, and there needs to be actual good research. If it's an illegal substance, there hasn't been good, credible research.
It's not illegal, though.
Heather, that's what I'm saying. It hasn't been legal long enough for people to have funded research to be able to say, is this worthwhile? It takes years to put together a good research panel that is something that's worth going to.
So do you think alcohol has that today?
Absolutely. Alcohol's been legal since prohibition in
So because it's been legal, you believe the science is...
I believe that there's been enough ability to ethically research it, yes.
How do you make something that's been illegal and put someone in prison for so long legal with like no medical data behind it?
That's not why we make laws. We are canceling research right now. Like nobody gives a shit about research.
I guess what I'm saying from like a health and safety standpoint is alcohol more safe because we just have longer data around
the best research that we have is if you're comparing alcohol and weed.
Yeah.
Is that alcohol is more okay? So that's a different question. Alcohol is more dangerous. It results in bigger social medical issues than what weed does. Now is the question, is weed safe or should it be used as a health thing? That's a little bit, I think, laughable. Like I don't actually think the research will ever tell us that, but we don't have good research on it because for so long it has been illegal and there hasn't been enough long-term research available because it would have been unethical to ask people to do something illegal to do research on them. Yeah. Some pockets you can do it, but it's just not something at scale. So you'll see inconsistent research reports, or you'll see small sets of research, but not enough data. You know what I mean? Like, if you, from my point of view, if you look at for research to say is weed healthy, you're going to get a really mixed bag because it's...
Oh, I don't know if healthy is the right word, but like Tylenol, like, is it better to relax your bones when you're in the middle of cancer treatment with or without weed, the same way it is like take a Tylenol or a Motrin, right? Like they probably wouldn't tell you to take 100 Tylenol a day. It's not healthy. It's not like eating a green bean. Right. Or is it? I don't know. Certainly can't absolutely hurt us if 25 states have said, all right, we're going to let you do this with absolutely no moderation, or it's like a cigarette thing. I don't know.
Part of it is that it's only available to adults. It's not recommended for 18, anybody under 21.
Oh, 21. Like booze?
Yes. In most of the states, at least, that I've looked up.
Are we 21 here too?
State by state. I think so. I don't know. I didn't look at every single state. But
I don't know either what we are.
There are concerns about how
high school kids could literally be buying weed.
Yeah, but I don't think they legally can.
If you're 18.
Yeah, I know, but I think it's 21. Oh.
Unless you're like a super senior. So
I wanted to make a little bit of a conscious decision. This is the business of weed, not the health or the ethics of weed. A little bit we do on a Clean Your Clothes is like, is it good for the world? I run a point of view.
Sustainability, how are they treating people? Like, what's happening? Is it like...
And
is it a terrible business? Like...
There's nothing to show. I looked up and down for controversies. There really aren't that.
Like eggs have, you know what I mean?
The biggest...
The chickens.
Yep, but I mean, you know, someone could treat their weed plant poorly and it doesn't matter. And if it's a big automated system... There's not controversy. Some of the things that are happening that came up repeatedly is that the laws were written, again, I think this is the maturity of the legalization of it, but laws are written, particularly in Connecticut, this has come up, that police officers can't actually they can see you smoking in your car and it is illegal to smoke under the influence, but the way that the laws are written, I think were an error that they can't pull somebody over for smoking. Yeah. So like, come on.
Well, I don't know, but because I was watching these, for some reason I was going to talk to you about the Facebook ads I was getting served. Mm-hmm. And we talked about last week about getting old or whatever. You can't. This week I had like some about like, if you treat me right, I'm not gagging. I'm not nagging, I'm gagging. Like I was so offended. Like I don't even actually want it to be online because I'm actually just promoting their shit. Yeah. But one of the things that I was served on Facebook a couple times, so I was looking up shit on YouTube about weed, alcohol, marijuana legalization. And one of the things I was served on YouTube was in the 80s when they decided to not let us drink and drive legally in the United States.
I think I saw the same.
They were losing it. They're like, if they're going to not let us drink and drive today, this is communism.
I saw that too.
So I was just, to your point, like in 20 years, what will be normal and what will be like, why were we doing that? That was not a good choice to have your vape all day long. You know what I mean?
And I think it was just like an error omission in writing the law. Like the law writers are humans. You pass it and then you learn from it and then you improve it. So I think that's the call to action right now is make sure that the laws are in a way that protect everybody who's out on the road. You shouldn't be smoking and driving. If you can visibly see that somebody's smoking and driving and you believe, or
like drinking and driving, I mean, it's the same.
It is the same. Yeah. So like, let's use some common sense here. I can see how then things get like weird and confusing with cigarettes and stuff, but like, I don't know.
We'll just are you the same person on your first, again,
and if you can smell it, if you know it's sweet.
But are you the same person on your first White Claw picking up for daycare than you were on your 9th when you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
At least use it as a reason. If somebody's driving poorly and you can see that there's smoke, like if you can smell it, like come on. I know. So whatever. That's a problem. That is a bit of a problem.
People don't like to smell it either. Like the thick weeds.
Yeah, I felt like we got rid of cigarettes in bars and like benefited from that just to go into the world. Like when I went to New Orleans, I was like, oh my God, I will never smell the same again. Everybody smells like weed.
Is it legal there in Louisiana or they just do it?
I think it's legal.
You can't smoke it inside, can you?
I don't think so, no. But
back in the day when I was 22, pregnant for Bennett, I'm not kidding you, I used to watch 40 adults across the rail.
All smoking. Chain smoking.
Chief. I'm talking straight up, they call it burning heaters. That's what the kids call them. HEATERS.
And that's heaters. Cigarettes or it doesn't matter?
Cigarettes. Yeah. If you smoke today, it's called burning heaters.
That's funny. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I thought were interesting, and I might have to reference my data. I don't know if I can do it like just completely offhand, but when recreational marijuana use,
like who's their audience, I guess is what I'm saying.
21-year-old men, 21 plus, like that. The target audience for the weed industry is generally male, and I think like that's the growth opportunity, is tapping into women, is what some of the research, like weednews.com kind of shit.
Weed news.
I was on a lot of those. There's a whole bunch of
alcohol.com.
I'm telling you, there's like a whole weed consulting firm, but more than one source was like, your untapped market right now is women. And if you want to grow, it's a volatile market. One of the brands that I looked at had $90 million in profit, only running about a 10% or less margin, like 8 to 10% margin, had $90 million. This is a big national brand, $90 million in net profit this year, and was in the whole $200 million last year. Like volatile. Why? Oregon has, I have a couple of answers to why. Oregon has 50% more supply than they have capacity. So they have 50% more weed than they can even sell. The market is like almost basically crashing in that way at that point.
It's like growing dandelions. That's my point.
Yeah. So you
got Wikipedia and some soil and a light bulb and a seed, and
and pretty much anybody can do it.
You want to have a little bit of consistency.
Yeah. So I did also an angle of research as to like, what should states do? What should the federal government do? Like, how does that influence the business aspect? And one of the economists was like, you know what, we need to think about this like we did the beer industry in the 80s. And it was just so timely that we had just talked about Bell's, because there had been, I think there was like a fallout from prohibition, the fact that people were making alcohol in their houses when it was illegal to consume alcohol. Then we legalized it, and then there was some stringent alcohol, making policies that had been removed around the 80s that allowed for people to make alcohol at home, beer in particular.
Yeah.
When they did that, it allowed for hobby brewers to start making their own beer. Mm-hmm. And then some of those people turned into craft beer, local people who start their own little businesses. And then they become the Bell's Brewings of the world. And one of the economists that I resonated the most with was like, the way that we are doing weed today is really ad hoc. Like the way that we are regulating and managing the weed industry today is a little bit ad hoc. We're allowing access for these multi-state operations to grow. They are the people who will ultimately consolidate and dominate from a practice perspective, but we should set policies that actually empower the home grower. Even if there's not a lot of power in boutique, we need to enable it so that we are not just this is because it's a regulated industry. We could be accidentally setting ourselves up to have only 1, 2, or 3 big weed brands.
More monopolized.
Yes. And is that really good for the rest of us?
But is the law telling Jessica she can't grow it at home?
The law varies from every single state. And I think what the advocacy right now is be thoughtful, every single state, be thoughtful about how you're doing this so you're not protecting big weed or like the evolution to be big weed. We want to inspire and enable because it's so regulated. It'd be different if you're just growing flowers. Of course, a flower grower can be an independent, but that's not a regulated product. Weed will always be to some degree regulated. So because we have to regulate it, let's make sure we're being very thoughtful to allow independent growers to still thrive. And that was one of the messages that resonated the most with me as I was going through the research, that we need to make sure that we're advocating for that and looking for that when we
purchase.
But when we purchase, for sure, that'd be best. Perhaps, maybe big weed is the way to go, but I think that there's something to be said about making sure that there's still room for a little guy because anybody can grow weed. So like we should make that possible and look at how that produces bells. And I think we should allow for this.
Because anybody can really grow beer or cheese or like there's a lot of things we still can do at home.
But because it was regulated, beer was regulated, you couldn't produce beer and make any money from it. Mm. But then they relaxed the laws that paved way at the same time for somebody like Bell's to even happen.
And in Michigan, I know when it first got legalized, it was like, okay, if you're Jessica and you're Matt, you can have so many plants per person, per whatever. Mm-hmm. Like Michigan was still, but I think what they did was said, okay, you can be an independent grower, but you only are going to grow what you have the ability to consume. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be an independent grower and you're going to grow it to sell it to other people, well, we're going to put some laws and regulation around that because you're technically selling a medical, right? Yeah. So like, I agree to your point. Like there's a lot of blurred lines. Like I think that's my takeaway. The lines are blurred.
In New York, 90% of the cannabis market share is held by small businesses. 80% of the initial retail licenses granted to individuals with prior cannabis convictions.
Perfect. Yeah. What was more of an American dream than that?
Yep.
Argue with me about that.
Yeah, I can't.
Unless they're dying in the streets because they're smoking my weed.
3/4 of cannabis operators are losing money. It's volatile. It would be a market I would never get into.
Just like anything else, though. Like if you know how to make French fries, but you don't know how to run a business, then either you got to have a great product and some luck, and then eventually someone who knows how to run a business. You just got to
totally agree.
Or learn it yourself.
Totally agree.
And I think weed's the same way. Do I think we could have a lucrative cannabis business? Yeah. Do I think you and Maddie could grow a cannabis garden and we could make cannabis candles and cannabis bars and cannabis? Like, yes.
Yeah.
Do I think we can sell the same weed as everybody else and expect to make money? No. I think there's a lot of innovation.
So product differentiation.
Innovation.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of room for that. That's just not where the market's at right now. It's like purely growing and selling weed to smoke and then some degree of edibles. And I think that the product evolution will grow. The market will stabilize itself. But
there's lotion. There's all the things today. I mean, they've been using look at the hemp lotion. Mm-hmm.
That is still technically a different category. So we were talking about medical.
Sure.
I mean, recreational marijuana, hemp,
versus
and some of the CBD oil is still a little bit different. Those same growers can extract and produce products in those markets.
Well, that's a good point.
But that's not regulated.
Our point of today's topic, though, wasn't the marijuana plant, like the corn cob. Mm-hmm. It was weed.
Recreational weed.
Got it.
Primarily. Yeah.
That's a good point.
The business of recreational weed.
Right.
And then there is, to your point, a whole element of all the stuff that isn't regulated.
The CBD and stuff, I don't think there's any argument. Even whether you're in the Cleveland Clinic or the Hippie Journal or Fox News, CBD can make your joints feel better, like Ben Gay.
Yeah. So shall we clink or close to the business of weed?
I'm not gonna clink. I'm gonna clink to the marijuana plant and the science of marijuana, and I think we need to be continued, even if it's in the summer.
I'm clinking to the business of weed.
Okay, me too. You know I'm fucking clinking.
Because we're bringing in $1 billion in Michigan on weed taxes.
And if it's actually going to education.
I don't care where it's going, to be honest. It's coming in. Either something that we can
it better be going to making our babies be able to read or sea urchins. One or the other, Jessica.
Yes.
What are those fuckers called?
Sea lamprey. Yeah. Education, roadways. Like, I don't think that there's a thing that I would have. Like, I don't have like a moral guidance of like where we think weed money needs to go. Like, I don't give a shit. It's $1 billion into Michigan. Fucking cool. So, cheers to the business of weed. Thank you for listening to Stirred Up. If you like what you heard, please subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Follow us on your podcast apps. Please send it to a friend. Leave a comment. Add a rating. Every little bit helps. We look forward to seeing you next week.